So in this lesson, we're going to be talking about dribbling using the inside of your foot. You know, what are some of the pros and cons of using the inside of your foot, when to use the inside of your foot and when not to use it. A few technical aspects, so like body positioning, contact with the ball and whatnot, and just how it's a bit different from using the outside and the sole of your foot. So let's dive into this. And we'll start with actually, when is the best time to use the inside of your foot? Because a lot of people don't really agree, including myself, that using the inside of your foot is a good way to dribble. I agree with that, specifically if you're trying to beat someone. But in this situation that I'm about to explain, you don't really want to use your inside of your foot to beat someone. It's more to just position yourself to have better options. So I'll explain in a second. But when is the best time to use the inside of your foot? So for me, it's always when you're trying to link up with play inside. Now, I'm a huge fan of inverted wingers. I like my right foot to play on the left and my left foot to play on the right, only because it gives you more options. You know, you can see the pitch more. You can, again, link up inside, link up with a striker, with the midfielders. You can still go down line, get a crossing, cut back, but it just makes you a bit more dynamic on the wing. And for me, having dribbling using the inside of your foot in the way I'm about to explain is going to be very beneficial if you're that type of wing, especially if you like to link up with play inside. And so when I mean using the inside of your foot in this situation, I don't mean it to beat an opponent, because it's not going to be the easiest way to beat an opponent using the inside of your foot. It's because you can't dribble at speed using the inside of your foot. Yeah, you can probably get across them and whatnot if you take good touches, but if you're one-on-one with someone, you're not going to be able to really beat them unless you just shift it quickly, get half a yard and get a crossing. And so we're just talking about lining up your opponent to give you more options. And a player that's very good at doing this is Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is very good at hugging the touchline, using the inside of his foot to nudge the ball forward up the pitch. Granted, he does go back inside and passes it and, you know, dribbles inside most of the time, but that's his game. And because he uses the inside of his foot to line up with his opponent to nudge the ball forward, it gives him the option to then find passes to link up inside. And, you know, sometimes he still goes down line and gets a crossing and whatnot. So it gives you that variety, it gives you that cool and calmness, you know. And to be fair, it's a safe way of controlling the ball, you know. Again, you get to open up your body, you get to see what's in front of you, you know where the ball is, you're using the inside of your foot, which is the most common, comfortable area for most players to use. And so it's a pretty comfortable feeling using the inside of your foot. Again, you're probably not going to beat them per se unless you shift it really quickly, but definitely for linking up with play inside, linking up with your strikers, even getting a shot off on goal, you know, creating something inside the middle of the pitch is going to be good for you using the inside of your foot. Now, we kind of touched upon it. When is it not okay to use the inside of your foot? And if you're trying to just beat, you know, if you're one-on-one trying to beat an opponent outright, that's when you're going to want to use the outside of your foot. You know, that's when you're going to want to dribble at pace, trickery, maybe throw a few body feints or step overs. To be fair, you can do body feints if you're using the inside of your foot, but again, you're not going to really beat someone. You might get half a yard at best. And so, you know, to beat someone per se out wide, you want to be using the outside or even the sole of your foot, I'll say. Now, in terms of the technique is obviously pretty simple. You're using the inside of your foot to nudge the ball up the pitch. But, you know, for me, the best cues are you want to have your legs in an L shape. So when you dribble using the outside of your foot, you're very straight, you're very direct. Everything's mostly in a straight line. You're in line with a running pattern, hence why it's comfortable to use the outside of your foot when you dribble at speed. But using the inside, it's kind of, you can't really go too fast, because then you would just have a stumble or lose control of the football. It's more of like a glidey hop that you want to do. You're nudging the ball forward and you want to keep your left foot straight, and then the foot you're touching the ball with facing outwards. So it's kind of like this L shape that you create using your body and your legs when you dribble. And so, yeah, you're nudging the ball forward. You want to keep that position. You obviously want to have your knees bent, have a good low center of gravity. And this is very good because it allows you to, like we spoke about, shift inside very quickly and, you know, link up with play inside. So that's pretty much the technique. Obviously, you're nudging the ball using the inside around the toe area, maybe the side foot. Doesn't really matter too much as long as you're comfortable nudging the ball forward using that instep area. And then your hips and body position, you want to be facing away from where you're going. So usually when you're dribbling, and again, you can watch Grealish when he dribbles up the pitch, his body is rotated inside the pitch, so he's, again, his head and body's rotating inside the pitch to see what options he has, but his left leg and left leg is facing forward, so you kind of want to like rotate your body. It's a bit hard to explain, but you can see on screen that I'm showing you now that you just want to rotate your body and kind of have your body twisted as you're nudging up the pitch. But again, it's very different to how you dribble using the outside of your foot. You're very straight, very direct, and again, using the sole of your foot is different as well. So that's it for this little tip, I would say, on dribbling using the inside of your foot. I didn't go into too much depth. I want to keep the video very short and crisp, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. How do you find it dribbling using the inside of your foot, using the outside of your foot? What differences do you find? I'm a big fan of using the inside. I'm a big fan of using the outside of my foot to dribble, but now and then I would use my inside to just nudge it, and like we talked about, just line your opponent up to shift it inside and whatnot. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.